Hello and welcome to Dev Diary number 9, Economy and Production. This is a deep one, okay? I don't know how much we're going to learn from it, but this is a deep one. Pavel's here. Let's see, hang on a second. Dzień dobry? Is that how you say it? Off to... my Polish is as good as my German. In fact, to be fair, my Polish is probably way worse than my German. My German's really bad. Anyway, yeah, that's probably the best I can do for you. Hi, hello everybody. Right, so here's the plan. We are going to do what we normally do, which is to go through the Dev Diary line by line by line. We will watch the video, which will be, I'll have to mute it because of the music, but we'll watch the video and then we're going to go through it. It's a long one. There's going to be a lot to digest from this one. When we're done, I'm going to take a short break and then I will be again live, only with my map build, my current map build on the go, which I think I've got in the background. Let me just have a little look. There we go. So if you want to join me for a little bit of live map building after this stream ends, it'd be great to have you along for that one. But as it is at the moment, we're going to do the Dev Diary. It was around there. I understood. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Don't ask me to repeat it. Really don't. Anyway, right. So so that's the plan. Also tomorrow, a special one for tomorrow. I've got the video is, well, the video's been ready for months. It's obsolete now, the video, but I'm still going to use the same video because I think anybody who wants to take part will be able to work out the gaps. There are one or two obsolete mod gaps, but the big collaboration that I've been planning for a year now. Now there's no what map. Now there's no top 100 map countdown, anything like that for me to worry about. I've got some processing room in my brain to be able to deal with that. So tomorrow, probably 8 AM, I imagine. The video will be up with all the instructions. And we will. There's a couple of uploads I need to do to the workshop, and then we're good and golden. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can get 81 people doing a collaboration build. Again, you don't need to invest a lot of effort into this one. It's just it's meant to be a bit of fun. That's all. Anyway, right. So I've waffled very long enough because there's a lot in today's Dev Diary. A lot. There's a few bits. I have scanned through the first half of it. I haven't read the second half of it. Some of it's hard reading, and I think much of that is because this is written by somebody who has English as a second language, and the punctuation doesn't help. Punctuation's supposed to help. Punctuation, especially in one sentence. I had to read a sentence about 10 times over, and I still don't really understand what they're trying to say. But we'll get to that. Okay, Dev Diary 9, production, economy and production by Avanya, today at 4 PM European, 3 PM UK, and whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. Hi and welcome back to another development diary for Cities Skylines II. This time we'll take a closer look at the economic simulation, how citizens and companies manage and use resources, and how you can build a prosperous city, knowing where citizens want to live, where companies seek to locate, and why and how to build connections that lay the foundation for citizens, resources, and services moving around the city smoothly. Okay. While the economic simulation of Cities Skylines is similar in concept compared to the economic simulation in Cities Skylines II, it was simpler in Cities Skylines 1. The production chain was relatively narrow, but the economic simulation served its purpose well within the game's other systems. As Cities Skylines 2 was built from the ground up and all of its core systems are redesigned, there was also the need to redesign the economic simulation. It governs the households and their money and resource usage, businesses finding suitable locations in the city based on their evaluation of potential profit, available resources, connections, and workforce, as well as city service functionality and trade. Check out the video below for a quick overview before we get into economy and production of Cities Skylines II. Hi Gary. Hiya. So we're going to watch the video. I will mute it because we can't have the music, sadly. Her voice, beautiful. The music, sadly not. Well, I mean, the music's beautiful, but sadly I can't have it on this channel because I don't have the rights to it. So we'll watch it on mute. I found the video underwhelming. I know they have to dumb it down a little bit. Just sort of, this is the taster and the tease and give you some overviews. But I felt that it was telling us mostly what we already knew. Hi Diego, good to have you along as well. Right, so I'm going to click play on here, and we are muted already. Bingo. So, episode 9, economy and production, and I'm not going to read the captions. I'll leave the captions up for you to read as we're going along as well. Getting some lovely screenshots from $2.20. Your city's economic simulation is modelled on real world economics, modelled on, of course. Complexity and nuance is what they're saying here. Anyway, we've got, can we pause that? So what do we got here? We've got taxes, service fees, service trade, government subsidies and expenses, subsidies, service upkeeps, service trade, loan interest. So we got all these tabs along the top here: budget, loans, taxation, services and production to click through. So it should be fairly easy to navigate, I feel. Residential, commercial, industrial and office. Anyway, so good. Airport there. Not that we knew there was going to be airport. Let's take a quick pause on here. So we've got industrial budgets, industrial breakdown. Convenience food, regular food, furniture, grain, paper, timber, vegetables, vehicles, electronics, and that slider is only about a third of the way down. There's a lot more breakdown available. Pollution, raw materials, tourism. Private taxes. We'll read all of these things in a minute. We'll just take in the video. The link to the video, if you want to see the video in full, is in the description of this Dev Diary report, I guess, and you can go and watch it over there with the sound, of course. Oh, we're going to have a funny moment as well. Can we have a funny moment? Well, we all appreciate a funny moment. Right here, watch that car. Crunch! Did you see it? Did you see it? I guess you did, but I'm going to bring it back. Watch the... Oh, back further. Watch this car up here. Hey, crunch. Okay, had some fun. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. On the flip side, products aren't made fast enough to meet local demand. Companies in your city will be forced to buy from outside. All of this is saying stuff that we already knew about imports and exports, etc. And then we have loans, taxation, services. There we go. And you can adjust taxation, increase it or decrease it. You decrease the taxing. You get petrochemicals there, coal, crude oil. Lots of individual breakdowns. Good to see, I've got to say. Really enjoying that. We've got sliders. In case you didn't know we had sliders, we're seeing more sliders. Oh, lovely. Okay, American style build there. American theme. Excuse me. I've got some water on me here. I'll have some water. That's the new dynamic zoning for specialised industries, much as we've got for waste and stuff. I believe parks as well, I think. Anyway, so yeah, all of the juggling. How are we doing? Are we getting close to the end of this video? Because without the sound, it's a bit, yeah, you know, it's not very exciting, is it? There's fields indeed for farming. There are a total of 9 for farms where you can raise livestock, grain, vegetables and cotton. Forests produce timber, though how much depends on the age of the forest. You can extract ore. Here's the ore, stone or coal from underground deposits, and you can drill for oil. So lots of different individual specialized industries to dip between. And again, more sliders. All of the sliders should make it a lot of fun. Sliders is the best way, isn't it? Interactivity, gotta like it. Oh yeah, and then all of the taxation based on education as well. Yeah, it looks fun, right? Fun. Moving on, moving past that, we'll stop here for the moment. I will catch up with the chat because a couple of people have just joined in. Atomica, hi Atomica. Hey hoy, ahoy even. Harry plays. Hi y'all. Diary by diary, my expectations for this game go down. Huge disappointment. Ooh, Harry. No, you're allowed to have an opinion. It's fine. Yeah, it's turning more and more into an economy management game and less a city builder. Now, we're going to read through this. I have read to about halfway through, and they have said several times before, apparently it's designed to balance itself. So you can tweak, and if you want to go into depth, but if you don't, it should pretty much run itself. But if you want to optimize, if you want to get into that side of it, it's it's all in the literature. I wouldn't worry too much, Harry. I think we're still going to be able to play it. The thing is, Cities Skylines 1 is just, again, if you're playing it properly, if you're playing it without mods, it's exactly the same. You've got to play the systems. Just the systems here have got a little bit more depth, a lot of bit. Hi Bruce. Cities Skylines 2, aka Slider Simulation. Oh yes, that's what we've been waiting for. Too much management. DJ Transient. Too much management, you say? Anyway, I guess as long as I still have a creative mode. Well, this is it. I think there's going to be different ways for us to play this game. And one of them is, I mean, if it had the same or less, we'd be moaning about that. So I guess whatever they gave us, we're going to find something to moan about. I'm going to moan through this about the punctuation when we get to it. Anyway, plenty to read, so I'm just going to fly on in. I'm going to read to this point, and I'll take a quick glance at the chat. So, we wanted to create a deep and complex system without it being too complicated for you to manage, allowing you to spend more time building the city. Right, so we lead with this, allowing you more times to spend building the city rather than worrying about every minute detail at every possible turn. They lead with this, so I don't think you're going to worry, because that is their design philosophy. Complex, but not too complicated. I wouldn't worry. The system is modelled after real-life economic models to tie more realism into the game, and it is designed to balance itself out in most cases. I'm sure there's going to be people trying to break the game, bring in the spiffing Brit. In most cases, to support new players. So they know they're going to have new players that are going to find this overwhelming otherwise, and newly founded cities in the first steps to becoming bustling metropolises. It features financial aid in the form of government subsidies, which help the city's budget by taking care of a portion of the expenses in the early game. So, something to get you started. The subsidies also include unemployment benefits for private citizens to keep them on their feet, able to improve their lives and become contributing members of society. While the economic system is designed to support you in your city building vision, the government aid decreases as the city grows and becomes successful, allowing you to fully stretch your city management wings and fly. As you play the game, you can start to delve deeper into the economic simulation and its intricacies, seeing how the various agents make decisions based on your actions, as well as the existence of other agents, and you can start to make meaningful choices, guiding the city towards whatever goal your end goal is. So yeah, basically start the city, see how you're going, and then decide, I could I can make this like a timber-based city, or I'm going to deal in I don't know, electronic exports or whatever. You can focus whichever way you want to go, or you can just build a pretty city, as long as it works. Right. Technically, a city builder is a management game. Yes. You manage a city after all, but I haven't heard anything about detailing at all. True. This is a worry a little bit, but it's we'll see. From Biffa. Don't mention his name on my channel. I like Biffa. He's such a gent. I still just I bowed to him for taking the time to appear on this channel that one time as well. So thanks Biff, if you're watching this, which you won't be. Anyway, so yeah, I think detailing will come, but I don't think we should be worrying about detailing within the first month of the game coming out. We should be learning the systems. When we first got Cities Skylines 1, it took us a while to work out how to avoid death waves, etc., etc., etc. So there's going to be stuff to learn. I don't think we should be worrying about a detailed city for the first few weeks. We should be building our first city, learning the game, and then on our second city, maybe our third city, whatever, however it goes. I don't think we should be going straight, like, assuming there's a map editor. Do you think the first thing I'm going to do when I load the game up is open the map editor? Probably not. I want to see what the city builder's like. I will look to see if there is a map editor. But I want to see what the city's like. And city build. So I'm going to learn the game. The first month or so, I'm going to be doing nothing but playing the game. I wouldn't worry. I cannot wait for... what's this? Eligio of Greysteel. I don't know that one, but I'm sure we're all going to break the game in our own little ways. Sage advice. I don't know about sage advice, but like I say, I wouldn't worry. And again, if I felt we should worry, I would soon tell you, because I get nothing. I'm not paid. I'm not on the books of Paradox or Colossal Order. They know I exist, but they choose to ignore me. Which is sage advice from them, probably. But yes, it's you'll always get from me honesty, my opinion, but I'm not here to sell it up. I'm not seeing anything here that there are one or two little gribbles here and there that I've had to moan about, but again, all we've seen is the game in beta, like early with that truck on the roundabout. Are we going to see better collision on vehicles, with vehicles taking turnings like that? Who knows? Anyway, economic cycle. Let's crack on, Right, so the economy is formed by flows of various resources among the agents, households, businesses and city services. The number of agents naturally grows as the city grows, and each agent tracks the amount of money and resources that they have. The agents have expenses and income and try to balance them out by making decisions on what to buy and sell, depending on their current situation. Households spend money to buy resources and to pay rent. Businesses buy resources and turn them into other resources, which they then sell to other businesses or customers. Businesses also pay rent for their building, which is taken into account when they calculate their profit. Certain city services also consume resources, and these expenses are added to their monthly upkeep. So, common sense stuff that I think we should imagine was in the base game, the original game, assuming you want to imagine that. At the core of the economic simulation are the zones and the symbiotic relationships with each other. Households look for homes and workplaces. Industrial companies require access to resources, and commercial companies want products to sell and customers to sell them to. Taxes can be used to encourage or discourage different businesses in the city. If there's an abundance of a resource or product, setting higher taxes can lower the excess production, while still providing the city with a nice boost in tax income. On the other hand, if there is a lack of a resource or product, lowering the taxes or even subsidising it by setting negative taxes, which is possible, brings more of these companies into the city. Subsidising resources at the beginning of the production chain also benefits companies at the end of the chain, as they get easy access to resources they use in their manufacturing processes. Little things like that. Just basically zero tax on something even. Don't want to make anything from it. I just want you to make lots of it, please. However, money doesn't circulate in a closed system, and it doesn't appear out of nowhere. Rents, import payments, company profits and player income are money sinks that remove money from the economic simulation. To balance the money sinks, the simulation also features money sources in the form of paid rents and company profits, and the funds used by the player, which are distributed so that half of them go to citizens based on their their education level, and half are evenly distributed to the commercial building's wealth. This was a sentence I've read about 10 times and I still can't make head nor tail of. I'm going to read it again. To balance the money sinks, comma. The rest of it is one breath, okay? To balance the money sinks, the simulation also features money sources in the form of paid rents and company profits, and the funds used by the player, which are distributed so that half of them go to citizens based on their education level and half are evenly distributed to the commercial building's wealth. I think there's a comma missing in here somewhere, but I can't quite work out exactly where it should go. The simulation also features money sources in the form of paid rents. I get that, makes sense. And company profits. So it's a money source from company profits, yeah. And the funds used by the player. See, this is the bit. And the funds used by the player. What? Me, the player. Which are, hang on a second. To balance the money sources, right? The money sources are paid rents, company profits, and funds used by me. In terms of building, deducting, I don't know, from the cost of building stuff, cost of zoning stuff. Which are distributed, so half again, and then hang on. So this money is distributed, so half go to citizens, and half are distributed to the commercial building's wealth. I mean, I want to see it in action, but I am struggling with this sentence even now, even after having it for 3 hours, something like that. Anyway. Other money sources are export income from businesses and city services, tourists, and the aforementioned government subsidies for the city and individual citizens. Let me have a quick look at the chat. Right, this game comes out 11 years after the first. What? 11? 11 years, Harry? I think Harry needs to work on his math. 11 years, bless you. If after 11 years it's inferior to Modded CS1, they can just take it and shove it. It'll be different from Cities Skylines 1. It won't be inferior, it'll be different. And in terms of modded, remember, mods are going to come. It was when the original game came out, we didn't have any kind of Move It took years to arrive. How we coped without Move It, I don't know. But sirens to the BonBonB Bingo players. But how we survived without Move It, I don't know, but we did. And Find It came very, very late in production. And then so those were things that we couldn't imagine that we needed until they arrived, and we think, how do we get by without them? And we're going to have the same with Cities Skylines 2. There's going to be stuff in Cities Skylines 2 that we are perfectly happy with, and then someone is going to come along and mod it, and we're going to go, well, why didn't I think of that? So, yeah, I wouldn't sweat too much there. Maybe I am a weird village idiot, but the first thing I would do is check out all the editors. Also, we make a city that's vanilla. Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, detailing a city later. Why not? High hopes for Cities Skylines II. Took SimCity 5 releases to destroy their game. You're hilarious. I love it. I mean, I'm going to have a look, make sure they're there, but I don't think it's going to be the first thing I do. Cities Skylines kicked SimCity. Hey, moving on. Anyways, just having a little scan, see if there's anything important. Yeah, thanks, Pavel. Yes, the sentence makes no sense, but I think we can read into it, I think. Hi, Steve. Hi, BonBonB. Late as ever, but presumably you have some pump priming money. Pump priming. I don't even know what... It's a phrase I probably should know, but I don't think I've ever read pump priming. What I understand from that, those are some of the general... Yeah, I mean, basically, money in, money out, right? Waiting for a motorcycle to win. Oh, yeah. There will be one. There will be one. Guarantee a motorcycle. It's indeed a closed system. Yeah, well, we've got import-exports as well. Anyway, pictures. Lovely. Households. Hooray. Households look for homes in favourable locations that have workplaces, schools and leisure locations close by. Large families prefer larger apartments found in low density and medium density housing areas, while small families are satisfied with smaller apartments in high density and low rent housing areas. Households also want to reside close enough to their workplaces so that their pathfinding cost to work is low. Workplace pathfinding considers the education levels of the available jobs and gives a small bonus to jobs that match the employee's education level. Additionally, companies with fewer employees are preferred over companies with only a few open jobs, which ensures a somewhat even distribution of workers. The same applies to leisure options and shopping. Citizens want to spend more time enjoying the activities than travelling to them. Households with children want to locate near elementary schools, since all children go to school if the city has any. What, children or schools? Right, so this to me, this is just common sense, really, and stuff we already knew, right? More or less. Good. Households go shopping when the... now this is an interesting one. The wording on this I find very interesting, and I think it's quietly answering a question that we've all been quietly asking ourselves. Households go shopping when the AI detects that it lacks resources. So this to me says that people won't automatically instantly go shopping, but there's probably a crawler, an AI crawler that goes through all the houses one by one until they find a house that is lacking in resources, and then it will send an agent out based on the rest of the paragraph, which I'll read in a moment. So yes, it's not going to be an instant thing, and probably the same with traffic having to change lanes. I reckon with traffic, there'll be a crawler going from one car to another car to another car, just making sure that everything is clear. And it won't be constant, instant changes, which I think makes sense. You don't want a car changing lanes 7 or 8 times over, because the lane in front of it is just being filled by another car, and you'll end up with cars zigzagging all over the roads, compensating for each other. Anyway, it then checks the household members and their product preferences and chooses a product based on the preference weights. Once the product type has been selected, it picks one of the household members, who then travels to a shop selling the desired product and makes the purchase. Once the purchase has been made, the product is transmitted to the household's resources. I'm appreciating that I'm assuming Ivania wrote this personally, maybe with checking from the rest of the production team, but once the product is transmitted, via the airwaves? Does the car make it to the store and then just become a pocket car, or are we literally talking about the car getting to the store, then coming back home again, but transmitted? Transported, I would think, is probably the word. But again, I can't knock. Was it Ivania's Danish? No, hang on, is she Danish? Is she Danish? I think she's Danish. And I mean, anyway, my Danish is notably weak. I can't even come up with one word in Dane. I'll read this paragraph and then I'll catch up with the chat. As these decisions are made to maximise the household's happiness, and the suitability of the household's apartment is calculated by adding together the pathfinding costs to the various destinations, the free time left after work and travel, that's a nice touch. Free time left after work and travel, right? Money they have left after expenses, and the services that match their current needs. If the household can't pay for the rent and keep the upkeep of the apartment, they look for other available apartments which match their ability to pay rent. The evaluation process again includes all of the above mentioned points to find a suitable place and maximise happiness. They also consider moving out of the city, even though it is given a lower probability than finding a home locally. So if there's no appropriate homes locally, people will move out. If the household is very poor and unable to find a new apartment and lacks funds to leave the city, they become homeless. In this case, they can live in the city parks until their living situation changes. That is going to be fascinating. Seeing people milling in the parks with nowhere to go. That is going to be fascinating. One mod I would like to see for this is, I mean, not a spawner isn't the word, but what was the people populator mod? I can't remember what it was called now, where you could pop down in Cities Skylines 1 a little let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a node, and people would come to see the node basically, and it was really good for, you know, just making people go to parks or places out of the city that you kind of want them to go to, but they never would because it's not a park. I'd like to see that, to be able to put homeless living underneath overpasses, flyovers, that kind of thing. I'm using the word overpass because I understand the Americans don't know what the word flyover means, as I was watching today in a separate video. But anyway, so yeah, to be able to spawn homeless in areas of our choice, not spawn, but dedicate places that we would like them to be, I think that would be pretty cool. People generator nodes, yeah, I mean, it's still not the words I was looking for, but yes, yeah, exactly what I meant. Right, I'm glad I made some sort of sense. It's a tourist trap. Welcome to London. Oh no. Anyway, so let's catch up with what did I miss in the chat. Hi Anapu. Anapu is in the room. They really go deep in this game. They really learn from real life, but also listen to the community. They do. I give you that. Danish bacon, Danish pastries. Lurpak butter. There you go. That's three things Danish. Your CPU is going to be sweating on some of these elements, calculating all that stuff for each agent and household. Yeah, but again, I think that's going to be on a loop. It's going to be a crawler going through all of the simulation. I don't think it will be done in real time. I can't see it being well, it'll be in real time, but it will be sections. And also remember that we're not using the same Unity engine. We're using a more modern version, which is more core efficient. So if you've got multiple cores, I imagine that this is going to run very smoothly. Maybe might struggle when you actually fill all 441 tiles, but that'll be a different thing altogether. That's to be expected, right? And if it doesn't lag at that point, then somebody deserves a big pat on the back, right? An infinite loop of pathfinding, yes. Pump priming is what investors put in. Oh yes, of course. Thank you. Not heard that phrase, but it makes sense. Okay. I was watching Biff and he played Cities Skylines 2. He turned off the weather, and he turned off the weather. Did he now? Well, I mean, the weather, I can get that. The day-night cycle, it is interesting. I mean, maybe he still has the day-night cycle, but without it going into night time. So you'll have a clock ticking that shows that because people have still got to go to work, and they've got to come home, and they've got to go to school, and they've got to come home, and you've got to have the rush hour. So maybe it'll be basically like being in northern Norway in the summer where the sun never sets, possibly. Specs are, as far as I know, known on their website. They are. And also, keep your eye open that this old gamer has a special video. I shouldn't really be telling you this, but a special video coming up where he's gone into quite some depth about. I mean, I'm not going to say any more. But he has sort of like he's sent me a couple of spoilers. He's got a really good video coming. Definitely worth watching out for. I think it's coming out this week regarding the specs for Cities Skylines II. But yes, yeah, it is a marker, but it's a it had a name. It had a name. Anyway, it doesn't matter anyway. French CS2 will be realistic, and that disgruntled farmers will spread slurry and manure in front of the town hall. Yes, the French are well known. Well known. You go out there, spread slurry, and we just strike in the UK. We don't like it, we go on strike. Okay, catching up. Industrial companies. Industrial companies want optimal access to resources, places to ship their products, and workers to keep production going. They consider the value of production at the site as they choose where to found the company. The size of the property is relevant to the profit calculation, as larger industrial buildings have higher rents. Land value also affects the rents, so industrial companies prefer areas with low land value to maximise profits. However, different types of production require different amounts of space, so some heavy industry companies set up shop in larger buildings regardless of the cost. Companies order resources used to manufacture products, and when they estimate the suitability of a location for... Hang on. Companies order resources used to manufacture products, and when they estimate the suitability of a location for the business, they take into account the transportation costs which are deducted from their profit. It's another struggling sentence here, but I think we get the gist. So yeah, it's pathfinding, and it's working out where the best location is for their business. I get it. The new companies have a slightly higher preference for resources that are not in use in the city yet. Either they are produced there but exported without further refining, or they are only available from outside connections. Transport cost is calculated by the distance and the weight of the resource. For example, metals weigh more than textiles. Similar to resources, the distances to the industrial company's customers, resellers in commercial areas, and other manufacturing companies affect the company's profit. Companies favour short transportation distances when making resource orders to avoid transportation costs, reducing the profit margin, which makes companies further away less likely to be selected as the resource provider. Keep it tight, keep it organised. Big sprawling city, it's going to get very expensive. When the company is looking for workers, the complexity level of the production is taken into account, as it affects the requirements for employee education levels. Some companies function well with employees with low education levels, while others require adequately educated workers to increase their efficiency, which in turn affects their production speed and profit margin. As the company's profit increases, they are able to invest more into the building upkeep alongside paying the rent, which slowly increases the building's level and the surrounding land value. Company level and efficiency also affect the production rate. This means that as the level and efficiency of the company increase, they can produce more with the same amount of expenses, water and electricity usage, thus lowering the price of the produced unit. Somebody's gone to a lot of thought on this, haven't they? I'm liking this. I'm not going to reread this. This makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Industrial companies occasionally evaluate their current production. They seek to maximise their outcome by finding the optimal number of employees given the current prices for resources bought and products sold, employee wages, transportation costs and fixed costs, building rent and upkeep. They do this by adjusting the scale of their production. If there is more demand for the products the company makes, they scale up the production and hire more workers. If the demand for the product decreases, they scale the production down and let go some of the workers in order to still stay profitable. If the financial situation of the company decreases due to not making enough profit, they cannot pay for the rent and upkeep of the building, nor can they order resources for production. In this case, the expected company income and wealth become negative, resulting in the company going bankrupt and the building becoming abandoned. So again, nicely worded, explains everything nicely. I don't think there's anything specifically deep that we need to go into there. We'll move on. Some of the industrial zone buildings are warehouses that don't produce anything by themselves but are part of the resource trading. When the resources are bought from outside connections, they are transported to the warehouses where they are stored until further usage. As mentioned earlier, the price of the order consists of the transport costs and the price of the resource, and companies can trade with both warehouses and outside connections. Warehouses attempt to stay well stocked and balanced by moving resources around in the city. Interesting! Warehouses attempt to stay well stocked and balanced by moving resources around the city. So that means probably, evenly distributed among the warehouses. So I can see trucks picking up stuff from one warehouse, moving it to another warehouse. Wow. In addition to zoned warehouses, many of the cargo transportation buildings function as warehouses as well. We knew that. As these warehouses have special connections to the outside world, their transportation costs differ from the usual truck traffic. Cargo trains and ships have large capacities and lowers the prices of even the heaviest of resources, and air cargo can carry resources to and from anywhere, but with very little difference in transportation costs. Unoccupied buildings have no signs to display until the company moves in. Oh, and it says your ad here. So when they're abandoned, they don't just look abandoned as we're used to seeing them. They just go blank. I like that. That's a sweet thing. Nothing extra in the chat, so I'm going to carry on. Apart from Steve laughing, I'm going to have a little sip of my water. My little water, a little bit of water. A little reminder. I'm going to take a short break after this dev diary, and then I'm going to go back into the map editor, doing some more work on my final ever map for Cities Skylines. I did some off camera earlier today whilst at work on my laptop. I couldn't stream it, so there's been a little bit of progress since some of you saw it. Right, commercial companies. Commercial companies need products to sell, workers to service the customers, and to be located close to the residential areas which provide the bulk of their customers. Commercial companies order products from manufacturing companies in industrial areas as well as from outside connections. Similar to industrial companies, commercial companies take transportation costs into account when they evaluate suitable locations in the city, as they eat into the profits that the company generates. So again, just everything should knit nicely together. They try to balance good connections to let me rewind. They try to balance good connections to product manufacturers. They try to balance good connections to product manufacturers. I think that's and customers, while they also react to the demand for different products. Bit of a struggle, that sentence, but never mind. I get it. As an example, if a neighbourhood doesn't have a grocery store and the customers have high transportation costs, time and money from pathfinding calculations to reach the closest grocery store, the simulation marks a neighbourhood's close surroundings as lucrative areas for grocery stores to appear. That's very nice. I will catch up with the chat in a moment, but there are some good questions there. The last two questions are very good questions. Commercial companies look for a customer service workforce in the same way as industrial and office companies do. Citizens who live nearby and who are of a certain education level are the best option. Often, the customers and workers come from the same areas, which means that commercial companies thrive near residential areas in general. So stores near residential. Commercial companies also react to the changes in the economy and adjust their service accordingly by scaling the service level up and down. As commercial companies level up, their efficiency increases, which in turn improves their service level and sales. As the sales increase, the individual products become cheaper. This affects the decision-making process of the citizens when they evaluate where to buy the products they need, and simulates a real world where cheaper products attract more customers. Right, okay, I will take a look. So, did I fix the interchange? Yes, I have fixed the interchange. I had other problems that I fixed also. The interchange is fixed. It has a temporary, possibly it has a permanent slip road that if it doesn't work because traffic flow might be too heavy, I will remove, and I have an alternative correct solution. But I would rather use the incorrect solution if it works. Anyway, do I think there'll be an Industries DLC in the future? I reckon there'll be lots of DLC in the future. Does that answer your question? I wonder if we get the same stuff as the Airports DLC in Cities Skylines II. For example, mega own harbours and airports. Well, own harbours are coming very, very soon. That is one of the earliest updates within the first year, anyway. Airports are already in. Be interesting to see. I mean, they're just gonna basically every few months DLC. Simple. Will there be a Ports and Bridges DLC? Yeah, there will be. Yes, that's the one. Judge the new interchange. Yes, I will. Hang on a second. Let me just make sure that I can swap. There we go. That's the map building operation. There's your interchange. It's working. It's working fine. Well, it all links up anyway. Right. So we'll be doing that a little bit later on tonight. Where were we? Okay. Office companies function in much the same way as industrial manufacturing companies. Their production uses electronics or software as the input resources, and their products are immaterial goods such as software, telecom, banking, and media. While good transportation connections are beneficial for offices, they are not as reliant on short transportation distances, since the resource they require is lightweight and cheap to transport. The immaterial goods that they produce are sold wirelessly to manufacturing companies, other office companies and customers, so they don't require physical access to their customers, and it doesn't weigh in on the decision making while evaluating suitable locations for founding the companies. Thus, it is more important to be close to the residential areas where the potential workforce lives. Offices require employees similar to industrial companies. The employees are the engine behind production, and it is important that the companies find suitable employees to fill the roles and keep the company efficiency high. The complexity level of the produced goods dictates the distribution of the education level requirements of the company. Large office buildings can employ hundreds of employees. Do you read that with me? Large office buildings can employ hundreds of employees. Can you see that in the morning? Just hundreds of people turning up for work. I think railway station right outside your biggest office complex. Wow. This could be great. I hope. I hope. Right, the evaluation of profitability and survivability for office companies is the same as other businesses. They scale the production depending on the economic situation, always maximising income by hiring more employees or letting excess workforce go. If their profit decreases and they are not able to bounce back after adjusting their production scale, they cannot pay the required rent and upkeep and resource costs, and they will go bankrupt. Right. Let me put some bridges. I wonder if there are new upgrades or custom. Well, this is the thing. There's going to be lots added. I reckon we're going to see a lot of content creator packs as well. The thing with content creator packs is you can go to a content creator who specialises in a specific genre. So we know that Avania is really good industrial. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some really good industrial from Avania. Things like King Leno, we know is really good at American commercial. Wouldn't surprise me if we had a content creator pack from King Leno based on American commercial, and so on and so forth. Zarix, how about some great Mediterranean stroke Italian? I know Italian is Mediterranean, but there are other areas in the Mediterranean as well. But someone like Zarix for Mediterranean style buildings, there's plenty of options for them to go down with that. They'll be milking that cow to the last day. Yes, you're not wrong. You were not wrong. This is going to be, if you want everything, I think it's going to be a very expensive game. It's going to be careful buying, right? Careful buying. If they've got all this right, it'll be amazing. The depth of the economics sounds awesome. I agree with you, Steve, if they've got it right. The feedback I'm hearing is that they have. I believe the feedback that I'm hearing, if it was just coming, if it was just, I mean, I know these people are probably are all payrolled. They're not going to say anything negative. But what they can do is not mention the negative things. And sometimes you will then, it's like, let's say for the argument's sake, Cities Skylines 1, okay, death waves, right? If I'm trying to sell up Cities Skylines 1, I'm not going to talk about death waves. I'm just not going to talk about, I'll talk about the things that you can do, but I won't mention that these things can happen. And the stuff that I'm hearing, and you can then read between the lines, I'm quite happy with what I'm hearing. So I'm happy to say I think Cities Skylines 2 is scrubbing up well. I've no doubt it'll be full of little bugs and grumbles and gribbles, but for now I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing. Anyway, keep going because there's a lot still to go. Production. An important part of the city's economy is the production chain. Managing and adjusting the production chain adds a whole new dimension to the economy simulation and the gameplay. The production chain is designed so that you do not have to micromanage. This is the thing that I think people are worried about. So the production chain is designed so that you do not have to micromanage. But if you so wish, you can really delve deep into the intricacies of what makes up the whole system, starting from extracting the raw resources all the way up to specializing the industry in the city. You can influence any step of the process. Having companies that produce the same resource gives specialization bonus to those companies' efficiency. So yeah, you can basically just click and go. Like here's the one, right? We had specialized industry in Cities Skylines 1. You could have timber, you could have ore, you could have oil, and you could have farming. Or you could have none of them. You can just go standard generic. It's there were 4 ways to go. And you could just go standard generic and the game would work fine. So I think it's going to be very much the same. You could just go, zone and go, or you can sit down and make sure everything works exactly how you want it to. Anyway, there we go. Extracting. To get raw resources into the city, you have to either produce them locally with specialised industry area or import them. Having good cargo transportation connections will make it easier to import them, but extracting them locally will also provide income to the city in the form of companies paying taxes from their profit. To create an extraction area, you will need to use the Specialised Industry Area tool, which is activated when you place a Specialised Industry Hub building. So this is very much like the old Industries DLC. There's very much parts of the DLCs that we're used to. So you can create that specialised industry by putting down the hub building. I always have a little bit of a problem with that one. What if you don't like the hub building? You know, what if you don't like it? What if you want to not use it? You still got to. So I think it'd be nice if you just had, putting down any building would start the specialised industry. But anyway, that's I'm off on the tangent. This tool works similarly to the district tool covered in City Skylines, letting you define the area by placing corner nodes that create the full loop. However, a small area is already created when the building is placed. You can expand it to cover more land, but the area must be within range of the building itself, which will automatically harvest resources from that area. If the area is producing more of the resources than the city needs, then these will be automatically sold to the outside connections. Having good cargo transportation options will greatly improve the overall traffic flow of the city, and as well as reduce transportation costs for the companies. Flexi hours. Yeah, but then they won't be able to take advantage of the lovely restaurants we're all going to have loads and billions of, right? Anyway. So yeah, you'll zone and then dig. Zone and dig, right? Okay, it is beneficial for the city when resource production and consumption are balanced. Overproduction of resources is not beneficial for the city or the companies. When there is a large surplus of a resource, the companies will export that resource to the outside connections. However, when companies sell to outside connections, they also pay for the transportation costs. The more of the resource is transported, the larger the transportation costs will become, as it is required to be transported further and further away from the city. And these costs are deducted from the company's profit margin. A large deficit in resource production causes companies to order resources from outside connections. This incurs an additional transportation cost and causes a lot of truck traffic, which can hinder the physical transportation of the resources to their destination. These transportation costs are, of course, deducted from the company's profits. So, anybody not understand that? I think we're covered. From the resources, the zoned industry requires resources that can either be imported from outside connections or gained from specialised industry area within the city. Using these resources, the industrial companies process them further into material goods. These material goods can then be sold to other manufacturing companies for further processing, exported to outside connections, or sold to commercial companies. Additionally, the offices function as manufacturing companies, but instead of producing material goods, they produce immaterial goods. Offices require more educated workers, and immaterial goods, which are either produced by other office companies, are imported from outside connections. Dearie me. So every resource can be imported. Bruce, this is. Every resource can be, but not just that. So you've got electricity, you can import your water, you can import your police coverage, although if you're waiting for a patrol car to come from outside of the city, yeah, you can see where the problem there might be. You can rely on outside connections for your fire services. You can rely on outside connections for your elementary schools. There are certain things that you don't want to, but you can rely on outside connections for pretty much anything in this game. But of course, when we're talking about micromanaging, some people don't want to micromanage to the nth degree, but things like this, these are micromanaging. But not, well, these are managing, aren't they, rather than micromanaging, I guess. Anything can be imported, pretty much. Pretty much. Okay, into products. At the end of the production chain, all the produced resources and goods find their way to the end customers, whether they are households in your city or the outside connections. Thus, commercial companies are at the very end of the production chain. They turn the goods they buy into products that the households can then buy to fill their resources and leisure demand. I think we're only about halfway. Keep going, BonBon. Keep going. Resource production factors. To provide a small sneak peek behind the scenes of the simulation, we are going to talk about the resource prices and their weights. Oh, okay. This is where I didn't get this far. This could get interesting. All right. To produce a small sneak peek behind the scenes of the simulation, we're going to talk about the resource prices and their weights. The design behind the resource gameplay is influenced by real-life resource logistics, simulating how cities are formed and function in the real world. While these are not directly exposed in the game, all of the resources have several factors which affect the simulation. A couple of these are price, weight, and space. Okay, price, weight, and space. That's more than a couple, Lavanya. That's a few. Couple is only two. But anyway, yes. Price, weight, and space. Interesting that everything is going to have one of these little things attached to it. Anyway, price naturally refers to the actual price of the resource. The price determines how many units of the resource a household can buy when they restock their household resources. The price of the resource is constant, but the availability of the resource contributes to the transportation costs which define the end profit margins for the companies. Weight refers to the abstracted physical weight of the resource, which affects the resource's transport cost. Light resources like pharmaceuticals incur a small transport cost, while stone, steel, etc. are heavy and in turn incur high transportation costs. Heavy stuff should ideally be produced in the city to provide high transportation. So we've got all this real technical logistics, simulation, restock, contribute, resource, refer, abstract, physical, pharmaceuticals, stuff. Sorry, heavy stuff. That's the funniest thing I've read all day. Should ideally be produced in the city to avoid high transportation costs. But if it needs to be transported, having a ship or train connection is a good way to reduce these costs. I think that's a genius idea. Yeah, if you're going to have yourself a quarry, get yourself a freight line into the quarry. Space affects the profitability of the resources. Interesting. Space affects the profitability of the resources. Some resources require more space for manufacturing than others, and companies that manufacture resources that take up large amounts of space prefer to be located in areas where the land value is low, so the company can make the most profit. This is the interesting one. So if you need a lot of room to produce a product, you're going to want low land value. If you don't require a lot of room to produce it, you can go into more expensive locations. I like it. Example, a minerals factory. What? Okay, right. Can somebody who speaks English please proofread These dev diaries. I appreciate that my Swedish is awful, like non-existent. But example, a minerals factory. I'm guessing it's a mineral factory or a minerals, multiple mineral. I don't know. This is in my brain. This one. The factory's expenses are mostly dictated by the cost of acquiring its input, stone. As stone is ubiquitous, very good again, we've gone from stuff to ubiquitous, but rather heavy, the transport costs, I've gone again, the transport costs are probably a large part of the cost, making, what the hell is that? Bear with me. That's weird. Sorry, okay. I've got half an eye on CCTV again, as always. Right. Additionally, where are we? Did we get? Stone's ubiquitous, but rather heavy. Additionally, the factory is probably quite large, so it will try to pick a location where the land price is not very high. Another large cost comes from paying the wages of the relatively untrained workers the factory uses. The factory also buys some water and a lot of electricity, the prices of which are set by the player. Lastly, the factory earns money by selling its products to either local electronics or chemical factories, or exporting them out of the city. If it has to export, it will also pay the transportation costs and be less profitable. Finally, the player will tax whatever profit is left, or may even subsidize the minerals production if he wants to have a lot more of it produced in the city. Wow. Okay. Copywriter, yeah. Yes, indeed. I think it would be nice. I mean, I appreciate, first of all, that it's being written in English. I do appreciate that one. I appreciate there are multiple forms of English. English, Queen's English, American English, Australian English. There are multiple forms of English. Right. I'm not gonna be a British snob on this one. We invented the language. It's an evolving language. Right? The language that I learnt, there are kids speaking words that make no sense to me. Like ubiquitous. There you go. But yeah, language evolves. It's fine. And even within the United Kingdom, we have all these little, you've got London, you've got Newcastle, you've got Liverpool, where the accents are so different, and you get local language, local words that are, evolve. And it's fine. But choose an English and have somebody read through it and just check it, proofread it. I know they've got access to people. Heck, I would do it if they wanted to pay me. But no, actually, I'm saying that wouldn't work, because then I wouldn't be. What's the word I'm looking for? Off the payroll. There we go. Yes, fine. Space: The Final Frontier. All I hear is game is a multi-dimensional vector to which various transformations are applied. Yep, basically, I think. Excuse me. Harry is definitely some people. A ton of feathers is lighter. Yes, we all know a ton of feathers is lighter than a ton of lead, but not as light. Oh, don't. Oh, don't. I'm gonna have to do it. How do you make a cigarette lighter? Take out all the tobacco. Da-ding! Right, sorry. Right. In Cities Skylines, I'm moving on. Do you know what? The English, it's good English. It's just a bit broken. A little bit broken. It's very good mostly. And then occasionally you get a bit that's like listening to me. Doesn't make any sense. Specialised industries. In Cities Skylines, the production chain is very simple, with 4 types of raw resources, which can be processed and further turned into goods consumed by commercials. For Cities Skylines II, we wanted to add more depth by providing more specialised industry types, more production variations per resource, and more options to combine these resources into new products. Specialised industry type areas typically require natural resources to function: fertile land, forest, ore, and oil. Nothing new there for the map makers. That's the word I'm looking for. Map makers. Right. With the exception of livestock farming and stone quarrying, specialised industry areas can be built on land without any natural resources. What? Hang on. I'm going to have to start. Specialised industry areas typically require natural resources to function: fertile land, forest, ore, and oil. With the exception of livestock farming and stone quarrying, specialist industries can be built on land without any natural resources. Huh? Okay, I think we've got another one of these that makes no sense. Specialised industry areas typically require natural resources to function. So here we're saying specialised industry require natural resources. With the exception of livestock farming and stone quarrying, specialised industry areas which can be built on land without any natural resources. Are we saying actually that livestock farming and stone can be built on any land without natural resources? Is that what we're saying? I think. I'm confused. Of the natural resources, oil and ore are finite, resulting in less and less resources being extracted, while fertile land and forests replenish their resources over time, but are vulnerable to pollution. So, here we go. This one has definitely been covered. I know Biffa was saying that they weren't sure about ore and oil, but yes, they are finite until the mod comes along. I don't like this. I think it's for a city builder. I mean, I suppose the city will evolve, but yeah, I think having it finite is a bit of a problem. Maybe I'm wrong. Of course I'm wrong. Cities Skylines 2 features 9 different specialised industry areas. You can choose between 4 types of farming. Livestock farming requires no natural resources, that's covered here, lovely. While grain farming, vegetable farming and cotton farming need to be situated on fertile land. Forestry naturally requires forests. Stone mining, it's all covered now. Stone mining can be utilised anywhere on the map, but coal and ore mining both need ore deposits in the ground. Lastly, we have oil drilling, which can extract oil from underground. Specialised industries do not affect the industry's zoning demand, and the economy of the companies in the specialised industry areas functions differently, as they cannot go bankrupt. Instead, they downsize production and the number of employees when the profits are down. This can especially happen if an area runs out of natural resources. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Livestock and some otherwise. We're struggling a bit with the English. It is, to be fair, a long dev diary today and quite complex. Just catching up. I'm reading some of this in my head here. You need special types of stones. Not all stones can be used for construction. True, but I guess having a couple of specialised industries that can't run out means that you could replace your oil drilling with stone quarrying. I guess you could do that, something like that. I think there's an option to have them unlimited. There was unlimited money and there was unlock all. Hopefully there is. I can't remember. I hope embargoes are included in the base game. Oh, dearie me. Yes. Right, anyway. Specialized industry vehicles are not part of the normal traffic and do not drive on roads. What? Hang on. Hang on a minute. That's where your full stop is. Specialized industry vehicles are not part of the normal traffic. So we're talking about, okay, we've got a truck carrying logs. This is what I'm visualizing. The truck that's carrying the logs. Specialized industry log truck is not part of normal traffic and do not drive on roads, but they still travel on paths created by the simulation when industrial areas are created. What's the flip? Okay, my brain is hurting. Right, so when they say they travel on paths, they clearly don't mean on paths. They don't mean on sidewalks, pavements. On paths created by the simulation when industrial areas are created? Oh, they operate within specialized industry areas. Oh, specialized industry vehicles. Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I get it. Right, so we're talking about log cutters, we're talking about quarrying machines, we're talking about bulldozers, we're talking about the big things with the scoops on the front. This is what we're talking. Specialized industry vehicles stay within the specialized industry, as you would expect. Okay, I get it. Yes, thanks, Harry. Yes, I finally made sense. Thanks, Gary. Yes, I finally made sense of it. The vehicles operate within these specialized industry areas only and gather resources within that area. Once they gather enough, they drop the resources at the main building, which then processes the resources and sends them to other companies for further processing as part of the production chain. So yeah, this is like combine harvesters and tractors and stuff like that. You know, depending on your specialised industry. Makes sense. Having a little look here, one little interesting, we haven't seen this before that I've noticed. But you know with Cities Skylines 1 where the buildings are on a base plate? I'm seeing a little bit of that here. These fields feel like we've got buildings or base plates stuck on top of them. Haven't noticed that before. So that's something to keep an eye open for. But yeah, these are the specialised in, yeah, they're driving around collecting resources, whatever. Good. Okay. Ooh. Economy. How much further? Bear with me a second. Let me just. Oh, we are nearish to the bottom. Nearish. Okay. One of the core parts of understanding the city's economy is, of course, the economy panel. From there, you are able to take a deeper look at the city's finances, loans, taxes, service budgets and production of different resources within the city. With the tools and information provided by the economy panel, you can affect the different parts of the simulation and plan and develop your city. So we have a picture and we have, see here, government subsidies, which has got green at the bottom there. The government subsidy, if without that, would be below. I'm wondering whether or not the government subsidy in the early parts of your game will always balance you out in the early part while you build your city up. I'm wondering whether that, or whether that's just like a little helping hand. I don't know. From the budget tab, you can take a quick glance at the city's revenue, expenses, and its current monthly balance. Additionally, highlighting each section. Remember, monthly balance is that day, right? A month is a day. Remember that. Additionally, highlighting each section reveals quick details of each of the revenues or expenses on the right side of the panel. It includes a description as well as an overview of where the revenue or the expenses come from. Service upkeeps. Let me have a little read of that on the image. Service upkeep costs consist of the service building's operating costs, building, maintenance and resources used to provide its service, such as fuel for a power plant and the wages of its employees. Service buildings only provide the amount of each service required by the city at any given time, up to their maximum capacity. Accordingly, they only employ the required number of employees at all times. To save on operating costs, it is possible to lower the quality of a service on the Services tab. This decreases the number of employees hired, but will also lead to poorer performance. For example, waiting times for ambulances will be longer, and police and fire departments will have increased response times due to short staffing. So we'll be able to read descriptions. Good. Where were we? Loans will work a bit differently than Cities Skylines. Well, I hope so, because the loans in Cities Skylines I were frankly pathetic. I mean, they're a bit of a boost like we have here with the government subsidy to start your city up. Just take a loan, get started, pay off the loan, you're sorted, right? It was awful. Instead of taking one of 3 loans, there is now only 1 loan available, but the loan is adjustable and it can be paid back or increased at will. More realistic, I would say. You can take a loan and determine its size by moving the slider left and right. Slider simulator. The loan is finalized by using the accept button. With this same method, you can repay the already existing loan or increase its size to take out even more money. The loan size has a limit that increases on each milestone. The interest rate is based on the size of the loan, and the loan itself is automatically paid back in monthly payments. You can also pay it back manually, either partially or entirely if your city's finances allow for it. The loan interest rates can be reduced by building a city hall and the central bank. So there's your loan. Slider left, slider right, and all the, somebody's struggling a bit here. City income, struggling. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Each of the zone types has its own overall tax rate, which can be adjusted with the sliders. On top of that, you can adjust the taxes in individual groups by expanding the menu for a specific zone type. For the residential zones, you can adjust taxes per education level. For commercial, industrial and office types, you can adjust the tax rates for each of the different product types. Each tax can set between 10 and 30%. Setting negative taxes is a great... Hang on, whoa. For commercial, industrial and office zones, you can adjust the tax rates... Oh, sorry. I'm with you. For each of the different product types. Each tax rate can set between -10 and 30%. That makes more sense. Setting negative taxes is a great way to guide the production of different resources to specialise the city in a certain field. So, and 12%, anybody? 12%. Okay. Let's jump back to the chat again for a quick look. I think they're talking about those specific vehicles. Yes, you're all right. You're all correct, including Harry at the end there. Pavel, imagine you build your shiny oil industry only to find out you're covered by a price cap that makes you go bankrupt unless you switch to semiconductors. Yep. Anapu, after everything you have just read there, you can apply for the position of Minister for the Economy in London. Minister for the Economy, Chancellor of the Exchequer, I'll have you know. Thank you very much. It really is Slider Simulator as well as the City Builder, as well as pulling out a grey hair sim. 4:15 a.m. for you, so you've got to go. Oh, cheers, Bruce. It was really good to have you. We're nearly at the bottom, my friend. I don't know if it's... you might want to go to bed. We might have a couple more paragraphs to read. But yeah, it's really good having you along. You are never wrong, Harry. Give me water. Right. From the Services tab, you can adjust different city services budgets which affect the service building's efficiency and, in turn, the quality of said services. The service budget can range from 50% to 150%. For electricity and water and sewage, you can also change the service fee, which affects the consumption of the service, but also company efficiency and happiness of citizens. So yeah, if you push your electricity prices up, it will make people unhappy and companies less efficient. For example, lowering the service fee for electricity will increase electricity consumption, companies' efficiency and the happiness of the citizens. With these tools, you can fine-tune the service output to match the current demand if you so wish. However, an important design aim of these is that they do not need to be constantly micromanaged. But for the more experienced players, they can provide an additional layer of complexity to the simulation. Lovely. Right, I think we've got to be nearly there. Yep, we're nearly there. We've got one more picture and we're done. From the Production tab, you can observe each of the materials, material goods, and immaterial goods your city is producing. And from that, you can also observe whether your city's production of the resource is either in surplus or in deficit. You can highlight each resource to reveal additional information, which shows you where the resource can be gained from and where it can be either sold or used. For example, wood can be produced from forestry. Wood can be produced from forestry? I didn't know this. Why didn't somebody tell me that wood came from trees? You think I would know that by now. Wood can be produced from forestry, or it can be imported. Okay, right, fine. Finish the sentence before you mock the writer, BonBon. Right, that's a slap in the face for me. Wood is also used for heating, and it further be sold to processing companies or be exported to outside connections. So plenty of ways that wood can be done. And then here's an image with this is processing, import, chemicals, consumers. I mean, we've got lots of arrows here that I can't really make out at the moment exactly what it means. These little icons down here, or probably that's got to be computer chips. One of these is probably oil. Probably one of these is stone. That's a couple of gears there. That's a bottle of something. I mean, there's textiles, I imagine, t-shirt there. So yeah, we've got Production tab, brings up all this information, and it's breaking my brain. Right, we're nearly there. We are nearly there. With this information, you can gain a deeper understanding of what your city is consuming and how much your already existing industry is producing. This will help you plan your city and transportation more efficiently, which in turn can help reduce traffic and provide more tax income to your city to realise your dreams. We hope this look into the economic simulation of Cities Skylines II has given you some ideas of how you can specialise your city. See, hang on. Officially American English. Specialise your city with a Z. And benefit from a balanced production chain. We continue our development diaries next week with a look at game progression, which I suspect is going to be more in the line of the milestones and the unlocks and the milestones and the development points. That was the word they were using, wasn't it? Development. I think we're going to learn more about development points and milestones next week. And they'll probably explain to us again that a month is a day and a year is 12 days and so forth. Right, but anyway, I think, I mean, that was a heavy read today. That was a heavy read today. But I thoroughly enjoyed the video. What? Wood is no longer an essential component of fish sticks? Yes, it should be. Oh, hang on a second. There you go. It's fish and chips. The wood was for the chips. See what I did there? Anyway, that's been fun. Before we end this, a little reminder that now's a good time to hit the like button. There's a hint. And I will be back very shortly, once I've made myself a sandwich or something, because I haven't eaten yet, with a little bit of City Skylines map building. My final map for Cities Skylines 1. Made some progress. I'll show you where we are, and then we'll do some more work on it. Might even put down some trees today. I'm going to experiment with the trees. Fish and chips. I want fish and chips now. I might put some chips in the oven. There we go. No, exactly. Yeah, well, their English is better than my German. As I always say this. French is my second language, and Anapu would laugh at that. Frankly, I don't speak French, but it's my strongest second language. So yeah, it's fine. Everybody's great. We love the Swedes, we love the Finns, and we tolerate the Americans. Bless you, America, the greatest country on earth, behind England, clearly. So yes, I'll be back with a little bit of map making live stream in a short while. I'm gonna cook myself some grub, and then I'll be back with this. So it'd be great. I don't agree, but on the other hand, my second language is English, and here is mandatory. Oh, bless you, Harry. English is your second language. Well, I had no clue. Honestly, I did not realise English. I have no idea what is your first language, Harry? Portuguese, Steve. Oh wow. Yeah, I need to know what Harry's first language is, because I just need to know. I'm not going until Harry tells me what his first language is, because I'm impressed. I had no clue that Harry's first language was not English. Go on, Harry. Is that the Romanian? Look, Harry, I'm really, really impressed with your English. Okay, very, very strong, very good. Old Boars in the house. 200 years. Well, this is the thing with so I have to say, we learn US English. It's perfectly valid form of English. Okay. We joke about how the Americans have ruined English. We have also ruined English. What was I saying? Yes, I've got a lot of German blood. I've got a lot of Indian / Pakistani blood, depending on which path of the family you go down. I am very English. I've only ever lived in England, and a very Anglophile family. But yes, you think with the amount of foreign blood I have in my system, I would at least be able to, struggle through a second language, but it just never happened. But anyway, yes, Snoozeby, off to bed with you. I will be doing, I'll be doing some map building very, very shortly. But thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, commenting, for liking, and subscribing. I don't have an outro again, so this will go straight to excuse me. So we'll go straight to the end. If you slap a US citizen long enough, he will speak with a British accent. I think if you slap one long enough, they'll pull out a gun and tell you to stop slapping them. Wouldn't that be right? Anyway, I'm going to go. Thanks, everybody. You've been absolutely wonderful. We'll do this again next week with the next Dev Diary, and I'll see a few of you a little bit later on for a little bit of live map building. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. I'll see you again very, very soon.